How is it possible that a game called Titanfall has problems with the Titans in it? One of the biggest takeaways people get from this game is actually the pilot gameplay, the mobility, the wall running, the parkour. But that still doesn't let you quite ignore the key component of the game, which is the Titans, even though sometimes it tries to get you to. PvP is a very popular mode. I remember when the game first came out, that's what I used to play the most, because it was just more familiar. But the Titans play one of the biggest parts in this game, and you can really separate it between two things. It's being able to use your Titan and being able to engage Titans. And then the underlayer is being able to engage them either as a Titan versus Titan or a pilot versus Titan. The dynamic between the two is very different. The Titan is clearly stronger because it has more opportunities to miss and still be okay. They don't just die from getting shot, they get to repeatedly try. But even then, that doesn't really just keep going. It's never just pilot versus Titan. You're constantly building up to your own Titan, and then that's where that big swing happens. So as you get a new Titan that has full health, it seems like the dynamic has now shifted in your favor, but what they have is extra core, and that's kind of how it evens itself out. There's a lot of dynamics between pilots and Titans that I find that the new players are never going to quite understand. And there's this phrase that goes around in the community, I believe it was by Sir Swag, that said something along the lines that if everything's overpowered, nothing's overpowered. Which in a sense does make sense for Titanfall, at least how it initially feels on the surface when you start going up against pilots, or as to going up against Titans as a pilot, or even just other pilots in general. So this phrase is right in a sense, and in the way that the balance I've always felt in this game, it almost seems like it can shift on a dime depending on your skill, but it's also true that it gets majorly skewed when it comes to levels. Like right now, this is probably the dumbest level. If I was a new player, I'd just say this is the dumbest level to fight against Ronin. Scorch has a smaller advantage, but Ronin runs the map, and as a new player, and even as an experienced player, you feel that. And it's when you see these extremes play out that the game even shows its imbalance more. So are things overpowered? It's like, yeah, things are definitely going to be overpowered, and some things are overpowered more on certain levels. Certain mechanics seem very overpowered. But even as I look at it more objectively, like the Ronin block, which is a little bit ridiculous, let's be honest, is almost no different than using an Ion and using the shield, because the survivability I've gone with that feels like an equivalent. So there's definitely a lot of things you need to understand before you start criticizing this game. And I think there's also some blanket statements that just don't represent the game well. Like this overpowered feeling, it's like, yes, it definitely feels like that at times. And it's not always the case, but sometimes the thing is that it's just true that all the weapons are not overpowered in this game. They are not built all equally. So when a new player starts playing this game, or just anybody in general who just doesn't happen to be at the top tier, it feels like you can get ran over by one single player, because if they exploit the right mechanics on the right levels with the right Titans, the right weapons, which let me tell you, when it comes to overpowered weapons, yes, there is some. And it's like a top 5 where they're all extremely powerful, and then the other ones just drop off a cliff. And that's where it's like, no, not everything is overpowered. Like these weapons that fall off the cliff are just no real match for someone just at your same level. It's like you're gonna lose 10 times out of 100. I don't know why I decided to do it like that, because it's really just 1 in 10. Like you're gonna win 1 in 10 fights if you're fighting somebody using one of those meta weapons and you're not. So let's be realistic. I know there's some players that are godly, but that's not the point, because I can get away with a lot in this game, but if I start putting my weapons down below these 5, I'm not going to perform quite as well. Let's all just be honest with ourselves. So no, not everything is overpowered. In regards to Titans, there's definitely tiers, and I think the tiers are best explained by the levels. And the thing is, there's a limited number of levels in this game, and most of them are small, so that just seems to favor Ronin, where on most maps he's going to be S tier. And then the thing is, he never really drops below A. That's just the kind of Titan this is. And the thing is, on the maps where it even shines more, like this one, it's just devastating in the early game. It doesn't matter if you're a pro, you're not going to be standing up to a Ronin on this level as a first to drop. And these are all those things that I'm sure a lot of you Titanfall veterans have seen. If you're new, I'm sure you've already experienced a Ronin running you over on this level repeatedly. So is a Ronin overpowered on its own? No, but in context, because there is so many small levels, it seems like Ronin is one of the best Titans. This level, you know, maybe it's not the best. But the thing about Ronin, I could talk about Ronin all day. But the reason I wanted to show you guys this is because this is one of those times where I felt like I was really exploiting my Titan with how long I live once I end up getting to my doom state. So is this different than using the Ronin sword? I'm struggling right now. I'm just saying, maybe it doesn't seem as ridiculous here. Right on this level, it seems like that's fairly balanced. Sword block versus, because what's Ronin going to do here, right? This is where it takes it to like the other extreme with Ronin. But now let me talk to you guys a little bit about attrition, because the thing is, the Titan balance makes the most, like the biggest impression in attrition. If you play Last Titan Standing, I think things feel really good. Like tone on Last Titan Standing fits in like perfectly. On attrition, I think it fits as well. It's just an annoying Titan. It's just an annoying Titan, that's all. I don't think it's overpowered, because the thing is, I find that it actually struggles against other Titans. That's where I find that it evens itself out. I was talking about in my last video what I find scary as Titans. It's typically related to the levels. I find just people who play in the outskirts as a Titan who are super defensive, the hardest people to deal with in this level. On this level, I mean on just large maps in general. So if you put large maps together with a NORTHSTAR that's defensive, that's all my fears combined into one. And that's usually the best way to play Titans, is defensively. Ronin's going to have to get in your face eventually, but he's going to want some team support. Because even if he's not doing damage, he's blocking and then somebody else is doing damage. I've been playing League of Legends, and I find that you can always relate something to League of Legends right now to this game even. I feel like I'm laning right now, I'm just like holding my own. Oh, look what I do here. I end up throwing the satchel inside the shield, so I had to jump out of there. If not, I was going to die. So I could have gotten way more damage, but I kind of goofed that. But one of the things I've learned through League is if you're new and you don't know all the skill sets, and even when you do, if you're not just kind of used to the pattern and things like that, unfamiliar things are always going to seem hard. And the thing is, when it comes to Titan, fighting an experienced Titan as a non-experienced Titan, it's going to seem quite hard. And there is hard counters like this. But there's always things you can do. That's also what League has showed me. It's like even when the odds are against you, strategy plays a big part. Some legions will just like, it's the slowest fight ever. They will constantly like miss shots. They will just make me waste my shield, and it takes a long time to waste my shield. Then we're also in a melee fight in between wasting my shield, so there's a lot going on. It's a really long fight that way. And that's the way you're supposed to do it. You can't just try to burst me down as a legion. Those little mind games go a long way, because even if you're just holding out, it gives it more time for a pilot to come save you, which is kind of like your minions, or another Titan, and you know, then the balance completely shifts. Monarchs are a good example of that as well. People are like, Monarch is OP. It's like, yeah, if you let it get to that stage. The first stage is as a Monarch, it's like one big slip up and you lost most of your health. You're like, what's even the point of upgrading this thing? Because usually what upgrading your Titan means is that you're going to be super defensive, so you're not going to be right in people's face. You can be, but I'm just saying, if you really want to conserve your health, then you're waiting for every time your shield siphon comes up and you're trying to maintain that health. You don't want to lose that, you just want to level up, and sometimes it's a slow process, kind of like this flank. But flanks like this are a huge part of Titan gameplay. I was just trying to show you guys like things that are worthwhile, and Titan fights are just a little bit slower. You kind of want to think them through, and sometimes they're not slow, right? Ronin just ends up sneaking up on you. But I find that you just can't give up on a Titan fight. They just last so much longer than the pilot fights. So this turned into a huge rant, but I know that the Titans is definitely something that keeps some players away because of the dynamics of it, and it just feels completely different. And if you're not familiar already with the movement, which new players aren't, it's going to seem awkward from both sides because they don't quite know what a pilot's capable of, or like how to just use their weapons efficiently. The Thunderbolt is super user-friendly because you don't have to quite land it, and it's really good against going up against, well, that's a talk for next time. That's pretty much where we're ending this one. This is a game I like to call Which Side of the Glass Am I On? Yeah, he guessed right pretty fast. Alright guys, y'all have a good one. Oh wait, before I go, let me show off Rogue Hunter's clip. I thought this looked pretty cool. Honestly, one of the coolest features about this clip is because the field of view is so low. It makes it seem so much more intense, like he's kicking down the door and shotgunning people. But what I wanted to let you guys know is that I'm going to be going camping. This is that time of the year. This is just what we do. So no more Titanfall for the next week. When I get back, we'll do a community video. So show me what you guys got. Send it to the Discord. You can message it through Xbox. However way you want, just link me the clip. And thank you all for joining me. Paper, cut to you. And I'll see you all next time.